So this resurrection, this rising up, uh, we may have had some big, as I said at the beginning, some big crucifixion event, and then a rising up out of it. We may be in the midst of one. We may, but the fact is that these things, large, seeming large and small, continue to come. So we always have this opportunity. We always have this opportunity to wake up from that suffering. To and the thing is that this arising, this waking up, this coming out of these times of struggle, do not just occur by us just praying. There are other things, and they certainly do not occur by us just begging some faraway power to like forgive us or save us or rescue us. Um, there's this, as in the poem that I read at the beginning, there's something that we do. There's a cooperation that we do. The power for the overcoming is always within us. And I like to think about it because we've decided to separate ourselves into bodies. Take that for what it's worth. So I need these symbols to work with, and I think about as I'm waking up, I'm thinking about there is this light in me, there is this power in me that is really a microcosm of the larger. But also this power in me is in you. And when I say that, I mean I need to observe the others around me, not just you here, but those anyone that I see, that same light, that same power to overcome is in them. And what that means is that rather than me taking on the role, if I look out in the world and I see suffering, I may be compassionate. I mean, hopefully, this is what I'm trying to develop is compassion and the ability to, when I see suffering, is to say in my mind, may you be happy, may you be at peace, may you be free from suffering. Also relating because I've known suffering. There's this common compassion, common suffering. But then also to realize that through this strength, this power that's within me, and I'm seeing within them that there's an overcoming that can occur. Then this extrapolates into the idea that this power that's in me and in you is also between us. So in my say my loving kindness meditation, may you be happy, may you be at peace, may you be free from suffering. I am doing my part to extend that light between us. It's already happening, but all I'm doing when I'm visualizing it is I'm making it more concrete, more real in my own mind. I'm opening up the awareness to something that's already there. And then to think further, it's not just between me and you. If maybe I'm having a conversation with you, or maybe I'm just thinking about you. It's not just between us, it's all around us. It's within us, between us, and all around us. This light of overcoming, this light, this ability to resurrect out of any seeming problem. And I'm going to go back to the symbolism of this. Some people would think that this is trivializing this great event. But the story is for me, the story is much more powerful in the realization that in this light, in this spirit, we overcome, first of all, our various issues that keep us locked into the small self. And then ultimately, we overcome the whole material world. So this is, and it seems to me a worthy purpose to to focus on this idea that through awakening ourselves to this commonality of love, to awakening ourselves through whatever process we use. We talk here a lot about 12 steps. This is a path to awakening. We talk about mindfulness. People who aren't in a recovery program, they begin a mindfulness practice. We've been saying mindfulness a lot, but what we're really talking about is just a meditative practice. We begin with that awareness and following the breath and being connected to what's happening in the present moment. Present awareness with acceptance. This is a path to awakening. We awaken to what ultimately, whichever path we take, we awaken to the fact that we're not alone. We awaken to the fact that we really are a part of this greater thing. And it turns out that that was our problem in the first place, was that we thought we weren't. That through, whether you believe it's because we designed it that way in some far distant past, or whether it's just evolution and the way things have happened, and it's very interesting when we look at it. All the fears and issues that we have psychologically are easily traced back to how we evolved. And all of the defense mechanisms and everything that cause us to feel separate from others are very easily seen as a help in a primitive, dangerous world. Now, it's also very easy to think that we're still in a primitive, dangerous world. The dangers aren't the same as they used to be, but it sure looks like, when we examine current events, like we still live in a dangerous world. And so here is where this highly charged word of salvation comes into the picture. Salvation just means safe. It just means being safe. And I mean, in its simplest definition, there's all sorts of different connotations and understandings, and it's a highly controversial word. And in the Course in Miracles, it says that our salvation is in ourselves, but it's not talking about in our personality. And this is the problem: is the ego says that salvation is part of of its function, and it's going to keep us safe by further separating us from others. It's the ego is, of course, the false self that really doesn't even exist, but it certainly is making itself known. I mean, just medically speaking, I think I mentioned this a couple weeks ago too, is that they can't find it. The doctors can't actually find where it is in the brain. They can't find this like homunculus. They can't find him. That little green man that sits at the operating controls, right? Can't find him. I mean, they can find phenomena occurring. They can see thoughts triggering cascades of chemicals into the body, but they can't find this like central operating thing. So this then is now for just a pure Buddhist. They're saying that this is, of course, what has been taught forever, is that this small self that we think we are is, Buddha said, not you, not me. This is not me. This thing that's happening, this thing that I'm thinking, this emotion that I'm having, that's not me. My job is not me. The tasks that I do today, that's not me. And of course, the Buddha is saying that there's this observer. In following along with Course in Miracles, we are saying that rather than being separate bodies in a room, in a building, on a street, in a town, in a state, in a country, on a planet, part of a larger universe, that rather than that, we are not, our mind is not in our body. but rather our body is in our mind. Our body is in our mind. And it's a mind that we share. And this is we're going back to that shared consciousness. This evolution, the spiritual evolution is back to that shared consciousness. And if you're thinking, you can approach it. It really doesn't matter, practically speaking, it doesn't matter whether you think that shared consciousness is an overarching God figure, or whether you think that shared consciousness is just life itself as one thing. In other words, it doesn't matter. Then this is what the Buddha, when the student asked him, he said, "I just need to know." He asked him a number of questions, but one of the questions was, "Is there a God?" And the Buddha says to him, the answer to that question does not help you. Because practically speaking, it doesn't matter whether there's, and what I'm saying, for the purposes of this conversation, what I'm saying is that whether there is an overarching, unified intelligence that is loving, or whether it's just that we are part of this great thing called life that doesn't have any conscious direction of its own, really doesn't matter for our happiness. What matters for our happiness is that we wake up to the fact that we're part of it. And that right now, in this particular experience that we're having, that is our safety. That is our salvation. And this is where the lilies of forgiveness come in, is that for every grievance that we have, for every upset that we experience, that we can visualize in our mind laying a lily of forgiveness in front of it. To forgive all of the things that we believe keep us separate from one another and from life itself. To forgive in a way that we've talked about many times, to forgive in a way that forgets the barriers that we have created. Not that's like some superior being giving to a lower being. And this is why it's so important for us to recognize that the light that's in us is also in others. And that all the overcoming that we can have, it doesn't help us at all to somehow get some idea in our mind that we've become some superior student. That somehow we are more enlightened than the next person. This is just another way that the ego distracts us from the coming together. So our help of others is to see that they have the same ability and the same connection that we have, but also for us to see them overcoming. Not in some way that we tailored for ourselves. We have this experience all the time. We have friends and family that we see them doing certain things in their life, and we have opinions. And we also have opinions about what they need to do to fix it. This is not a proper prayer. We pray knowing that they have the love of God or the love of life in them, and that they are part of it, and that power will restore them in a way that it's supposed to, according to their path, not what we think. Because we miss so much. We think we know what's going on. We miss so much, and it's all autobiographical. We're relating what we see with them with some thing that's going on in our own mind. So this is part of forgiveness too, is to release other people to be themselves, to let them go on their path. So the week is short. That's what it says here. The week is short, and yet this Holy Week is the symbol of the whole journey that the Son of God has undertaken. He started with the sign of victory, the promise of resurrection already given him. Let us not wander into the temptation of crucifixion and delay him there. So what this line in Course in Miracles is saying is, as we observe our brother, which is this symbol for the Son of God, let us not in our minds, seeing him sinning, not doing things right, in other words, we nailing him onto the cross, and also realizing it's us too, to not let regret and remorse put us back up there. It says, help him go in peace beyond it, with the light of his own innocence, lighting his way to his redemption and release. So hold him not back with thorns and nails when his redemption is so near, a breath away. His redemption, our redemption, a breath away. But let the whiteness of your shining gift of lilies speed him on to his resurrection. This can be your greeting today. Get down off that cross. We need the wood.